Hello, everyone. Morning, morning, morning. How is everyone this morning? Too much drinking last night? Not enough drinking. I've got a bit of a sore head. So yeah. Um, I'll probably forget even more things that I need to tell you today. So let's say first up. First up. So lunch again is down in the Mansion House later on today, in the same place that we had it every other day. So please don't come and ask me halfway through the day and go, "Where's lunch today?" Stickers. Who needs help with stickers? And I'm going to drag you up on stage and embarrass you profusely. Sponsors. Thank you ever so much to all of our sponsors. And today, Zyron are up in the video. So thank you very much to someone who will remain nameless. He'll watch this later, and there's a thank you for you. So yeah, go and see the sponsors. They are in that section just past the left-hand side of the building when you look at it. Make sure you go in there, go talk to people, or if there's no one there, because, we like to talk at other parts of the conference, pick up their swag, because they don't want to take it home. Sipgate really don't want to take their swag home. Simwood really don't want to take their swag home. So go and take some swag. There's some nice T-shirts and coffee mugs and bags and books and pens. Like, you could kit out your whole office. Like, just take it back. Thank you very much to our sponsors. Scavify. Go and download Scavify right now in your app stores. And you can search for ComCon right now. Yeah, search for it is ComCon, isn't it, Sandra? ComCon 2019. So you can download the app, you can find the scavenger hunt, but you can't start it yet. It will start later. So there's no getting a head start. Everyone plays fair. It asks for a password. ComCon 2019 with a space, Sandra, or no space? No space. ComCon 2019. Does that not work? Huh? You're in there? Okay. It's working for some of you. If it's not working for you, then I'm sorry for your intelligence. You've obviously been drinking far too much last night. I think that's all the notices I had. I'm sure I will get up on stage later. Oh yeah, lightning talks. Lightning talks. I've had quite a few people come up to me and go, "Is my lightning talk accepted?" Well, I thought I was pretty clear, but obviously I wasn't. If you submitted a lightning talk and I haven't come and asked you what it's about and told you that you're an idiot, that's a bit harsh. I retract my words. If I haven't come and spoken to you and said, what is this? And maybe that might not be appropriate for this audience. I.e. political. Anything political? No. Not happening. Sorry. So your lightning talk has been accepted. Has been accepted, and you should plan for 7 minutes. Plan for 7 minutes. Plan for 7. So we are probably going to elongate our lightning talk section a little bit. And I think we're going to give away some prizes from Rob just slightly before lightning talks. Yeah? Yeah. So if you were in their session yesterday, then and Tuesday, then you might win some prizes. And that'll be really, really, really quick, won't it, Rob? It'll be really, really quick. Super, super quick. So closer to the time, I will figure out a running order for all of our lightning talks, but you should come to lightning talks ready, because you might be first up. Okay? Has anyone got any questions about lightning talks? No questions. Great. So no one's going to come to me in like an hour and go, "What about this?" So yeah, the rules for lightning talks are you're going to plug in here, and then as soon as it appears up there, your time starts. And as soon as you hit 7 minutes or a time to be defined later, depending on available time, David Duffett will stop you, and you're done. Doesn't matter whether or not you're halfway through, doesn't matter whether or not you want to take questions. Oh yeah, there's no questions in lightning talks, none. And that's it, really. It's really, really simple. Get up on stage, plug in, start talking. There's no headsets. We're going to use the lectern mics. Really, really quick, fun, can be about anything. I might even do one myself because I haven't been up here enough. And I might give myself 14 minutes because it's my conference. Anyway, yeah, I should really stop talking. I'm going to introduce our keynoter this morning, Mira. Hello, Mira.
Hello.
This is like that's all right. So we had David keynoting on Monday, and I met David through Asterisk training. Probably one of the nicest people in VoIP. We had Chris yesterday with his amazing demo. I've sent it to so many people, and that's really, really cool. And I met Chris at an Astricon, so you can kind of see this vibe here. So I met Mira at an Astricon one year. This highly intelligent woman who didn't take any bullshit and was one of only a few women at Astricon. And she didn't expect special treatment. She didn't expect anything like that, and just got on with, doing a good job, talking to people like we were all the same. So that's amazing. And then I was thinking about keynoters for ComCon, and I was like, well, diversity is such a huge, huge topic in tech right now, and even more so in the VoIP industry especially. We look around this room right now, and unfortunately, there aren't enough members of diverse backgrounds in this room, unfortunately. And we're you don't class as one, James, like you're just old. So yeah, it's a topic that's really, really close to my heart because I think we should be doing better. But at the same time, where's the line? Like, where do you don't want to treat people differently just because of skin color or gender, but at the same time, we want to pull in people and have different opinions. Like, having a diverse team behind you gives you a ton of different opinions that aren't just from the same background. So there's that right balance to strike. I am not the right person to talk about gender balance, diversity. I'm a white male up on a stage. I can't talk about that. I might have an opinion, but I would say completely and utterly the wrong things, and I've almost already said the wrong things in this 5 minutes. So I'm going to get off the stage and let someone that actually knows what they're talking about talk about diversity. So thank you very much, Mira. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dan, for this amazing introduction. No pressure on me to do a good job talking about diversity. Okay, let's get this working. Oh, yeah. Well, it's again a tradition on every conference. We give away free Zoiper licenses. So if you want free Zoiper licenses, please send me an email, and I will give you your free licenses. One more thing: if you want to talk about diversity, and if I did something wrong talking about diversity, or if you have an opinion on diversity and inclusion, please send me an email, mira@zoiper.com, and we can discuss it. This is personal. It is personal, not in a way that it bothers me, and it is affecting me. It's actually affecting me, but not in that sense entirely. It is personal that it affects the whole world. I have approximately 1 hour to condense 757,000 hours, which represents the average life expectancy of a human being. So I have approximately 45 minutes to condense some of the generalizations that you have been fed and you have built throughout your life, but not just your life, but the life before you, the life of your mom and your dad and their parents and the parents of their parents. And hopefully, at the end of this talk, I hope that I and you and I, we would have improved our diversity and inclusion IQ. So, let's start with a little game of presumptions, my favorite game. Where do you think I come from? Now, this game is mainly aimed at people who haven't met me, but if you have already met me and you know where I come from, let's pretend that you don't. People who don't know where I come from have presumptions about where I come from. Am I coming from the Middle East? Am I Latina? Indian? Turkish? Pakistani? Well, I have been told that I look like either of this. And, well, I have never has anybody associated me with Eastern Europe, where I come from. How old am I? Exactly. You're right. What is my sexual preference? I know. Well, actually, something interesting, out of topic, but in Bulgaria, we wear our wedding ring on our right hand. But just for this conference, I have changed the finger. I have put my wedding ring on my left hand. Well, it doesn't really fit, because our hands are not the same size. Our left hand is skinnier than our right hand. Just a fun topic, just a fun fact. I have actually been spoken to by people from these nationalities and groups on their own language. So when I go to Spain, I get spoken to in Spanish. I don't speak very good Spanish. When I go to Turkey, people talk to me in Turkish. So they presume that I'm Turkish, that I'm one of them. And I am. I'm a human being. So yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I am from Bulgaria. This is, well, not a very good picture, but this is a picture I took from my hometown. I was born in Varna. It is a city on the coast of Bulgaria. Now, Bulgaria is not very diverse. We have 3 ethnic groups. We have Bulgarian, which is what represents about, I think, 88% of the population. We have Turkish and Roma people. So, you know, when you say that I'm the right person to talk about diversity, I'm not entirely sure that I am. I consider myself well-traveled, so well, hopefully I don't make a lot of mistakes talking about diversity today. Now, I'll move on. I didn't really think that I would be doing anything in communications. When somebody would ask me what I wanted to do when I was little, I wouldn't really answer, well, I want to do communications. You know, I want to do something with software. I wanted to be a painter. I wanted to create things. I wanted to create paintings and characters, and, you know, dive into art. And art is still something that I'm really attracted to, and it makes me cry. I really love art. But as much as I love art, I hate positions. So I believe that art cannot be owned. It can only be observed, like nature. You cannot own a living creature. And in a way, art is alive in your head, and you're not crazy. Otherwise, I would be considered crazy. Well, you cannot own a living creature, but still, we say things like, do you have a husband? I don't practically possess my husband, you know. We don't own things, and they're all temporary, like your car, your apartment, your clothes, just things. They're short-lived. Whatever we do, we cannot preserve things forever. We're trying to. We have been trying to for centuries. Look at mummies. Plastic. But we do not own time, and we do not own youth. The moment we realize that we do not own anything, but our mindset is liberating, it is life-changing, it is transformational. We can use our mindset to empower positive change. It takes 6 seconds for you to read my bio to decide if you're going to attend my talk. It takes 100 milliseconds to form an impression on me. I have 100 milliseconds from the moment I meet you to make you like me. And it doesn't depend on me. It doesn't depend on you either. Why does this matter? Well, it matters. I'll use myself as an example, but it matters to you too. It causes damages to my life, work, and business. It costs me huge wasted effort to fight presumptions instead of concentrating all those efforts into, meaningful things. It costs me a lot of effort to control my reactions as well. It consumes huge amounts of resources and thus slowing down my evolution as an expert. It costs me fulfillment and accomplishment on the emotional side of things. And it also has a real, measurable economic effect on me and on the business outside of my direct control. So the wasted effort to control my responses is the effort that I'm talking about as well. I have been told by a customer that I don't look like someone who can do math. How does someone who can do math look like? I have been hung up on the phone by a customer because I write like a man, but I am not a man or the phone. So they will be looking for Mr. Mira. I have been complimented more about my clothes and my bodily features than on my work and on the work I do. But I am also biased. I have received zero bias by people who I have expected to have biases, against me, but they had none. So I'm going to dedicate some time on where the biases come from. Some say, and I heard it recently preparing for this talk, that lack of diversity inclusion has nothing to do with cognitive abilities, but I stand here to defy that a little bit. I agree in the sense that the biases are not an excuse for ignorance. But if we address our biases, and I believe that, we will do a better job with diversity and inclusion. And later on, I will explain why this is important for us and for the business. And now I don't look like a neuroscientist, and I will use neuroscience to prove a point. Well, I don't look like a neuroscientist because I'm not one. Now let's have a look and let's dive in your brain a little bit. Now, as I'm not a neuroscientist, I'll make a lot of mistakes, so please feel free to correct me. And let's make this a discussion. Let's just not make this a lecture. I don't want to be lecturing you on diversity. Probably I should. No, I shouldn't. So please correct me if I'm wrong. So I'll try. So your brain, for your body, thinking is resourceful. which is why your brain is creating shortcuts. It is creating shortcuts towards a database that has been created throughout your entire life. Well, yes, throughout your entire life. Now, your brain's job is to think less, to preserve resources. And science is not saying that you're stupid or I'm stupid. Your brain creates references, and these references are stereotypes and labels. Your brain is using these patterns to keep you alive. And these patterns have been extremely useful to keep you alive. But they also, although being practical, pose some serious threats. And these threats, according to me, are the unconscious biases. The unconscious biases are unconscious. We don't know that we have them. They are the mental associations that shape our behavior. Well, they also might work in the contrary of our conscious beliefs and behaviors. You might do things that do not align with the person you are and the person you want to be or the person you believe you are. And this is dangerous. Let's have a look at these two pictures. Now, you have probably heard this before, and it's not my thought. It's coming from somebody else's research and talks. We perceive men as taking charge, and we perceive women as taking care. Unconscious biases are partially responsible for extremely scary stuff. We believe things that are not true. Our mind is lying to us. What makes us believe things that are not true is responsible for dangerous tendencies like fake news and science denial. We believe things that are not true because these biases make us back up untrue facts. They feed generally what we believe in, the database that we have collected throughout our entire life. Let's have a look at two of these biases. The selective presumptions bias, which makes us prone to see and believe information that feeds our beliefs and ignore anything else. Or the confirmation bias, that makes us deliberately and intentionally look for information that backs up our own beliefs. And there's something else. We don't necessarily need information to believe that we know things, and that's interesting. It's interesting because we don't have to know everything. We don't have to. There was an experiment. Access to information makes us believe things that makes us believe that we know more than we do. This is related to an experiment that was conducted. There were two groups of people, and they were presented with an untrue fact. One of the groups was told that the fact was confirmed by scientists and peers. The other group was not. The group that was delivered the information that the facts were confirmed by scientists and peers tended to believe that the fact was true. Just the idea that you have access to information that confirms your belief makes you overconfident in what you know for no apparent reason. You don't have this fact. And there's also the overly used Dunning-Kruger effect. It is the effect that you're overconfident that you know something if you don't know enough about it. Once you start knowing enough about the topic, your confidence drops. And the more you start knowing about the topic, your confidence starts to pick up. Most of the times, we lack the profound scientific expertise to explain everything that we believe in, and we disregard scientific or vital information, and this is very dangerous. We disregard empirical data based on evidence, and this is how we check. This is how in medicine they check the evidences. Well, we use two methods: the hierarchy of evidence and the peer review. There are over 80 proposed evidence-based hierarchies by scientists with the aim to have an objective measure of evidence and provide true results. In peer review, it's used in science. Peers are used to give feedback on your scientific paper to confirm the legitimacy of the paper. But all of this doesn't matter when you can Google it. There is a deadly bias, and not just one. There are many deadly biases. Such disregard of evidence can be deadly not just to you or harmful just to you, but to others. And I want to spend just a minute to tell you a story. A family of my family, a friend family of my family, had a python snake. Now, they also, just recently, had a baby. The python snake, they decided to check how the python snake and the baby would react to each other. So they put them together. And the python snake was so receptive to the baby. It would lay next to the baby, along the body of the baby, and just sit there calmly and peacefully, sleeping next to the baby. There was a problem. The snake, well, although it looked like it's accepting the new member of the family, it stopped eating. You probably know that snakes are not fed every day. The python, at least, eats every 14 days, I think. I'm not entirely sure. But the snake didn't eat for 2 months. And the family decided to check what's happening. And they went to the vet. And the vet started asking them about the behavior of the snake. They thought that the snake didn't accept the baby. And the vet told them that if the snake is laying alongside the body of the baby, it's measuring the size of the baby. If it's not eating, it's to prepare for the fresh blood of the baby. This bias is anthropomorphism. It is assigning human properties to non-human entities and objects. And it's all right. It's used in marketing. This family is not different than anybody in this room. You can make the same mistake. They did 2 obvious mistakes. They did assign a human property to the snake. They thought that the snake was taking care of the baby. They also had a fake belief that the snake trusted the baby with itself, that the baby is not going to harm the snake. They did not realize the different behavior because they were looking for commonalities. And we are hardwired as human beings to look for commonalities. Some biases are deadly to others and can make us prone to punishment. And these biases, according to me, are very, very, very dangerous. It's the descriptive bias and the prescriptive bias. For example, the descriptive bias is what makes you put labels on a group of people or on a person. And the prescriptive bias gives you the expectations towards this group's behavior. If these 2 don't align, you're prone to punishment. Or the inclusion paradox. We react differently towards ourselves and our in-group than to our out-group. And this is amazing. Our brain actually has different neural pathways towards both groups. We are also designed to think in a norm. They are norms that we're designed to think in order to survive and in order to fit society. And these norms could be psychological, legal, or moral, just to name a few. There are 200 cognitive biases. Well, this is at least what I found on the internet, on Google. But you can probably find more biases, and all of them have consequences. So let's have a look at these consequences of the biases. Well, this talk right here really describes the consequences of such biases. Discrimination, lack of diversity. And lack of diversity results in diversity crisis. Your office might be in diversity crisis, and you might want to check that. The office is in diversity crisis when these factors are there. When the office is intentionally dominated by a specific group, for example, white men. A policy or a business practice that has a different impact on different groups. Or there's a tendency that something is happening more frequently, frequently to a particular group of people. For example, giving a raise to men and not to women. It is impossible or more difficult for one group to achieve something. For example, a limit on pay. So I think it's a good time to describe diversity, and there's not one description that fits diversity, and you can think of 100 descriptions of diversity, but I have condensed some of them here using the information that I found. Diversity is the respect and the acknowledgement that we're tolerating our differences. It's allowing people to have normal and nice things. It is recognizing that discrimination creates segregation by feeding privileges and disadvantages. It's relating and understanding qualities, conditions, and individual rights. It's understanding that no one single culture is superior to another. It is understanding that the dependence between human beings, cultures, and nature really exists. Now, why should you care? And I'm going to read these because I don't remember all of these facts, but they're very important. You should remember this for survival reasons. And these numbers that I just brought in today, they're focused on gender inequality, but you can find these facts for any topics that are concerning diversity in you. The car safety features are designed entirely for men. Until the year, I think, 2003, there was not a test dummy with female forms and female sizes. So women have 47% higher chance of having severe injuries and 71% more chance than men to have moderate injuries. And in the EU, there are, I think, there are 3 regulations that are concerning safety, and there's one only that is concerning female safety. And this EU regulation specifically states that a female dummy should be used. Surprise! It should be on the passenger seat. The CPR mannequins are also not designed with female forms, wherefore men have 23% higher survival chance during first aid. Most biomedical and clinical research is conducted entirely on men. Sports gear is mostly designed for men. There's more in our industry. The smartphone size, it's too big for a female hand, or for a male with more hands. And this is why women believe that smartphones are not designed for them in mind, which is silly, because women are the bigger group of users of the iPhone, for example. At work, let's have a look, space gear is entirely, it's designed for men. In 2019, this year, a spacewalk was cancelled because the suit didn't fit the female that was supposed to do the spacewalk. Do you realize how this is affecting us? Science gear is entirely designed for men. And it makes you think, are women welcome in these fields? Is this a discriminatory tendency? It's a good time to have a look at what discrimination is. Discrimination is the unjust treatment of different categories of people. In the business, and this is my theory, and you can disregard it, or you can tell me what you think. It's the act of exclusion. It's the rejection of rights rejection of same opportunities for pay, benefits, and training opportunities. And our biases can occur for any of these matters. It is also illegal. But discrimination can occur and it can turn into harassment and bullying. This is very bad. For example, when I talk about diversity, I'm usually confronted with freedom of speech. So what I'm told is, you cannot tell me what to say. But actually, as a matter of fact, I can. I can tell you what to say because in Bulgaria, the freedom of speech stops where the rights of another person start. We're slow to make a change. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was proclaimed 70 years ago. At the current rate of progress, it will take more than 100 years to reach gender parity. Now let's put the spyglass on business. The business is in the best position to change things. We spend 1/3 of our life at work, while some of us spend more time of our life at work. Only 6% of the Fortune 500 CEOs are female. Actually, the 2009, well, this year has a high. We have 33 CEOs representing Fortune 500 companies. 53% of women in the IT landed their career accidentally. Do you remember that I told you that I wanted to be a painter? I accidentally entered the Zoiper office, never to leave again. 60% of male managers are scared of being alone with women at work. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I was yesterday asked by somebody at this conference if they insulted me many years ago. I don't remember them talking to me in any insultive way. It's just that careers are being destroyed because we're not prone to act appropriately with each other. So much that we have to look back in time and see how inappropriately we have treated others. The business suffers a loss of $160 trillion because of inequality. And human capital accounts of 2/3 of changing wealth of nations. It is ahead even of natural resources and other forms of resources. In nearly every country, women face barriers to fully participate in the workforce and to earn as much as men. Because of this, women account for only 38% of their country's human capital versus 62% for men. And in lower and middle income countries, the percentage is even lower. So how can diversity affect your business positively? Let me ask you first, is your office reflecting the diversity of your customers? And if it's not, why? Are you doing a good job producing products and services? Diversity accounts for world-changing inventions. And I'm not going to dedicate a lot of time to this, but it's funny. For example, for a sexist invention, the automatic gear shift. Do you know the story of the automatic gear shift? It was created at the same time as the microwaves and the washing machines as a labor-saving technology. It was aimed at women because it was easier, but women didn't buy cars. So they had to change their marketing practices. They would ask men to buy the cars for their women. Funny, but now we are all using it, aren't we? And the telephone, the typewriter, SMS texting, and even the IP network. You can be more successful if you introduce diversity. Companies that have more diverse management have 90% higher revenue. Diverse companies are 70% more likely to capture new markets. Inclusive companies are 1.7 times more likely to be innovation leaders. Racially and ethnically diverse companies outperform industry norms by 33%. You can acquire better talent. You can have better access to talent. 69% of executives rate diversity and inclusion an important issue. 67% of job seekers said that diverse workforce is more attractive, and they considered it during a job seek. 57% of employees want their company to do more to increase diversity, and think about that. 82% of millennials are more actively engaged when they believe their company fosters an inclusive culture. So let's conclude. From the statistics we saw, you can have higher revenue, increased market penetration. Diversity and inclusion drives innovation. Diverse teams have higher performance rate and increased productivity. You can experience higher employee engagement. And you can experience reduced employee turnover. Let's conclude more. Diverse teams are faster at problem solving. They're better at decision making, 87% better. There's improved creativity, diverse cultural perspectives, improved cultural insights. A diverse skill base allows an organization to offer a broader and more adaptable range of products and services. There's also the fact that your company will have a better reputation, and you have access to a larger talent pool. So we're not stupid to take any of this for granted, are we? Let's have a look at how we can become smarter, and how we can improve our diversity and inclusion IQ. It takes 25%. This is the critical mass when the voice of a group starts to get heard. So I would invite you to be part of these 25%. And here's how. You can start with yourself. Do you remember the questions I asked you, where I came from, what my race was, etc.? Let's play a little visualization game. What do you imagine when I say these words? Race, gender, sexual orientation. When I say race, did you imagine someone of color? When I said gender, did you imagine a woman? When I said sexual orientation, did you imagine gay or bisexual? And it's all right if you did. I did the first time too. I think that we should challenge ourselves consciously. For example, you can go to Project Implicit and just Google it, you'll find it. There are 90 biases that you can check yourself for. Knowing your biases will help you to actively pursue your reactions and question your decisions. It will make you make a conscious effort to make another less biased association or decision. For example, why did you decide to think of a person more worthy? Or why did you discard this CV that you were holding just a second ago? It will help enrich your collected, it will help if you do the conscious effort to enrich your collected data. It's the database that your brain collected throughout your entire life. Include yourself more, gather more information, and know more. Be curious around the people you know and in your teams. The best way to fight cultural biases is to travel more, according to me. That's why I said that I'm well-traveled. Communicate internationally, and even eat foreign food. It would help, diversity would be helped, if you also check your behavior. Do you act the same with all your colleagues? Do you have tendencies? You can be a good observer of your environment. If a problem does not directly affect you, it doesn't mean it doesn't affect you. You can speak up. Speaking up is the only way to progress. You can use facts and empirical data instead of emotions. You can stop the blame and the guilt. People who fall victims of their biases are just that, victims. They just need more information to change their perception or belief. Presume that everybody has good intentions. Know that we're very much the same and yet rich in diversity. You can make a change at work too. Why? Because at work, everybody is already gathered around the common topic and around mutual efforts. You can use the bandwagon effect. It's a bias because of which we tend to accept beliefs and ideas because a large group of people already did. Lack of diversity is dangerous and it makes us all stupid. What can the businesses do, particularly? The businesses can create a shared understanding of diversity within their organization. They can make sure that there's enough time, corporate time, devoted to diversity, and it is done, and it is perceived as an actionable intent. We can analyze our business and check if it is aligned with the concepts of diversity and inclusion. We can reassess our strategies and infrastructure. We can create specific strategic goals for diversity. And we can also ensure that there is a communication channel, safe channel, where diversity can be communicated and discussed freely. We can assess and monitor the results so that we can maintain them. And we can make diversity an everyday matter by including it in our everyday doing. We can make diversity part of our mission statement, and we also have to make sure that we take diversity out of the mission statement and actually practice it. We can transfer the diversity of our international markets in our office. We can hire diversely based on knowledge and expertise. We can train our teams, all of them, about diversity. And we can work with people who reflect the company's diversity values. We can assign responsibility and ownership to the complete team and keep them accountable. We can create events that celebrate differences. We can make volunteering a team-building activity. At Zuiper, it's funny, Zuiper is a multicultural team. We're located in Bulgaria. We are owned and managed by a Belgian, and we're providing products worldwide. Belgium, the USA, Syria, Germany, Russia, Turkey, the UK until recently are all represented in the Zuiper office. Well, since our office is located in Bulgaria, we also do a conscious effort. We respect the local traditions. We respect the core human rights and values. And we are united around the idea to deliver an amazing product. An amazing product. So to wrap this up, as human beings, we share more than 99% of our DNA. We share 96% with chimps, 90% with cats, and 61% with fruit flies. It's an oversimplification. But we also share 60% with bananas. You're 60% a banana. And one more thing. Whether you believe on the multiverse or not, you're living it. A version of you exists in every single person you know and in yourself. You are diversity at its finest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mira. There are a couple of terms in there that I've never heard before. So that's diversity IQ.
I haven't heard them either.
Yeah, that's pretty
cool. It's good that I did it.
Do you want to take some questions?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
We have 12 minutes, 57 seconds, 56
Does anyone have
seconds,
any
55
questions?
seconds, 50.
Oh, no, I think about the thing that I needed to tell you all, but again, forgot later.
Okay, so I'm going to be very direct here. I go around to a lot of free software events, and there's a particular pattern that I've observed, maybe even a bias, that a lot of communities are asking women to talk about diversity. Are we making a mistake?
I've never been asked to talk about diversity before. And when Dan asked me, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. I've been to many conferences and I haven't been asked. But we did do a conscious effort with other females in the industry to raise the topic. One of them is here, Kathleen. Thank you. So, you know, I don't know how to answer that. I actually was insulted, and it's stupid. I was insulted by a company sending me a ticket for a conference that had nothing to do with my business and my industry. They sent me a women-only ticket. I accepted it. I went to the conference, and there was a female lounge, and there was the common lounge where everybody could, you know, go there, and there was a female lounge. And in the female lounge, we experienced things like interesting food. For example, we had slices of carrot and celery put in these fancy cups, while the common lounge had burgers. I wanted to have burgers. What are you telling me with this celery and carrots, that I shouldn't get fat? What is this? So yes, I don't know. I don't think that we're making a mistake talking about it.
No, but just with only asking women to talk about it, is it for all of us to talk about it? Should we have men talk about it?
Oh, sure, yes. I have seen men talk about the topic, and it's extremely interesting. We should all talk about the topic. We should bring it to our office. And I shouldn't tell you what to do, but I believe that we should bring it to our families. It starts at home. We should bring it to our schools. We should bring it to our work, to our everyday work. We should address it.
I'm going to pick that up as well as a event organizer. Did I ever think I was going to call myself an event organizer? Anyway, it's extremely, extremely difficult as an event organizer to run an event, encourage women and members of diverse backgrounds to speak. I will never, as an event organizer, ask a woman to speak. I will never, ever, ever do it, because that's ridiculous. There's an open there's a call for papers, and I will encourage members of every single background to submit to it. If there's a lack of representation, then to a degree, I've done everything that I can. I will never, ever, ever ask a woman. I'll never go to Mira and go, "Oh, I'm really like, I've got 20 men speakers, and I've only got one woman. I mean, can you do me a favor and like speak?"
You're too close, then. It's sexual harassment.
Right. And I'd never do that. So that's on that topic. As on the diversity with women speaking topic, again, it's really, really tough. Like I said, I'm a privileged white male up on a stage at a conference that I organised, right? So someone like me is not the right person, because I have biases. Like, I just watched that presentation and my mind was blown. There are men and people of every single background who are capable of giving that talk. I believed that Mira was the right person to give that talk at this conference. And that's my answer to that question. But, yeah, everyone can give that talk. I just believe that Mira was the right person for this conference. Okay? And I wasn't having a go at you. I'm just trying to...
does the South African dare to make a comment and talk about it? So everybody knows that the history of my country has got some very terrible realities in it. But of course, since 1994, South Africa has been trying to create a new society with massive difficulties. And one of the things that process involves is for larger companies, and nowadays we are a larger company, are strongly arm twisted to increase diversity and create opportunity for those who previously had opportunity denied to them. Now, in my childhood, my dad was a Welshman, and my mom was a colonial Zambian, and I had an enlightened upbringing. My dad was the headmaster of a school that had an open admissions policy when it was highly controversial whether that was even legal. Nevertheless, I think I came out of that whole process of, I suppose, an indoctrination with a whole lot of unconscious biases. So in the last 10 years, really had to challenge those, because the government made it, very much in our interest to have diverse hiring, and we did do that. And I think it really has enriched our company. So now, whereas you couldn't really, there's no dominant, well, I guess there is a dominant race in our company that represents the what you call it, the mix of the country. And it's been a very worthwhile exercise because it helps you develop as a person. I had my first female programmer, Simam Kele, which makes me very happy. But it is true that it does create for us in South Africa, it creates kind of a cultural clash in your own organization. It's difficult for people because people carry these unconscious biases. Cultures are different. I've had to say to myself, you can't just casually invite people, your staff, to things after hours. You've got to think about how people are going to get safe transport back to where they live. They don't have a car, live in dangerous areas sometimes. You've got to deal with a ton of stuff. So it's not just a sort of saying, oh, I'm going to prefer or look for the women or look for the black employees and just go for it. You've actually got there's a whole long story journey that that we're still trying to figure out so that we can keep our company with an integrated culture. We can respect one another. We can get to understand one another and try to heal some of the stuff from the past. So I don't know if that's a question or not. Yeah, there's a whole journey, isn't there? You can't just sort of say, well, I'm going to hire some people and hope it works out. For us at least, because there's such deep hurts from the past, it's a big story to do it, but it's worth it.
Thank you. You should do this talk. Thank you.
Very quickly, in the UK, we've just had what's it called? Gender. Anyway, the number we now record the number of execs and everything. Gender is called the gender pay gap, and so the government are actually trying to improve the situation by half name shaming companies that are bad. So that's really kind of cool but sad all at the same time.
Hi. Thank you, Mira, for bringing this up, because I think it's top of mind for a lot of people. And you covered a lot of difficult topics, I think, which is not easy to do in a large crowd. But so one thing, when Sam Varun and I started a company in Finland, which is blonde and white, and I moved there 15 years ago. And when we started the company, we were 4 founders, 4 different countries. And we're 30 people now, 3 offices around the world. And we keep track of diversity, and it's really hard. I remember when we hired our first programmer, she was a woman. We're like, at least let's say the job description was not biased. But subsequently, we were not able to hire any. We had a first woman programmer, and then we had 10 men, right? And it was really hard to overcome that. But on the other hand, the 10 men, if you think about it, we're 30 people, and we have 18 nationalities, right? So, and in a country which is predominantly white, it's quite a color. So we get funding when we go and ask people, like the government, for a grant. They're like, oh yeah, we'll give you funding because, it's a rainbow. Like, you get to, like, our logo is a rainbow as well. It's like not a rainbow, but 6 colors. And it was, I don't know why we picked 6 colors, because someone told us those colors made sense. We like the 6 shades, and we're like, oh, let's do this. But one of the things that we come back to every now and then is, like, why aren't there more women in the office, right? And it's really difficult, and I don't have an answer for this. And unfortunately, like, I would say, like, all the women are in the office, are in the groups that you would think they would be in. Like, design, like office, HR, business. But the engineering team is totally devoid, and it's really difficult, as in I don't have an answer. We've looked at it like 3 ways, 4 ways. We still can't figure out what we are doing wrong. So I think talking about this topic is really important because it lets us reflect more. And if someone's unlocked this problem, I'm happy to listen to solutions and what they did differently. I don't know what we're doing wrong.
Thank you.
Mira, we've got one question. Time for one more question. Who? Laura. Sorry. But I'm biased. Yeah. But very quickly, Mira, like, what do you think? What is that shift for programmers, for getting more women into programming? What in your head needs to happen? Because there are companies out there that want to employ more of a diverse programming talent, but they can't because there's no talent. There's no one available, or at least they don't seem available. What do you think needs to happen further down the chain to enable that to happen, or whatever? And then Laura can ask.
In our industry, it's not just women that is this scarce human capital. We cannot find any programmers. It's extremely hard to find programmers in our business. Now, a lot of people tell me that women have no interest in technology, and this is why they don't become programmers. And this is ridiculous because statistics say otherwise. I have spoken to a lot of women in the industry. In the Zoiper office, we have female programmers, and I have spoken to them as well. And their experience is that this starts as soon as they discover their interest in technology and they decide to pursue it. But because it's a male-dominated group of students, they feel excluded. So I think that it should start from very early age, and it should start at schools. And they should continue with talking about it and having the opportunity to talk about it, which you gave me, and I feel entitled to talk about this topic. And this is how it starts, I think.
Sorry. Does that mean we're 20 years away from being able to fix this?
I don't know that I'm in the position to say this. I'm not the best expert about this, but I cannot say if it's 20 years. According to the statistics, it's 100 years. We're 100 years away of fixing this with the current pace. So we really need to increase our pace in order to be able to fix it earlier. And it's starting to change. We see more and more female CVs at Zoiper. CVs from women.
Yeah, that is very similar to why I was going to ask, because at first, thank you for this very inspirational keynote. I really enjoyed it, and I consider myself very privileged and also white, and nobody ever told me that I can't do programming as a woman or something, so this is all also very privileged. But I'm thinking about all of this stuff a lot in the last months or years, and there's just one very specific problem, and it's not to only blame the applications we get and to only blame the CVs, but it's one part of the puzzle, in that we don't get that much female applications as there are statistically out there. So is there anything that you do at your company to improve that and to get to get a more diverse field of applications? Is there anything we as a company could do to improve the situation on this and to encourage people from all backgrounds to give us an application? Is there anything we can do?
Well, this is what this presentation was about, and I hope that I was able to give a little bit of the answer in there as well. But practically, at Zoiper, what we do is that we dare to talk about it. We dare to speak up. If we notice that there's an issue in the office, if there's a joke, for example, some meme exchange, people exchange some pictures and they could be slightly racist or they could be sexist, we address it immediately. And I live in Bulgaria, and as I said previously, Bulgaria is not very diverse. We also have a very specific, just like with any other country, we have a specific mindset. And it's I don't want to put a qualification or a label because I would feed my own biases, but we could say that we tend to be a little bit sexist. So I'm there to address it immediately. If it happens, I need to make sure that it doesn't happen. And it doesn't, if somebody exchanges such joke or says a joke, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're sexist. It doesn't necessarily mean that they mean it in the way that it came out. And it doesn't mean that they realize it. So talking about it helps them realize their bias and helps them address it. I had a recent such exchange with a colleague of mine, and it turns out to be that all of his friends are female. In fact, he's empowering women to become developers. But we exchanged a conversation, during which conversation he had some presumptions of female leaders, for example. So what to do practically? Everything you can. Go to schools, talk about it to your friends, to your children, to your parents, and this is really hard. Talk to your parents about it, and confront them, but not in a bad way, just confront them and try to give them more information so that they have more information to work with. Well, yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much, Mira. Give Mira a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
We could talk about that for another hour. Brilliant. So we've overrun because of me. I really do apologise. So I can't remember. Oh yes, Scavify. The scavenger hunt later will probably start up here, I think. But I'll tell you more about that at lightning talks, because then I would have actually, made up my mind. So have a great day, and hopefully we can get slightly back on track, because I'll stop talking. Thanks. Bye.